everybody, in today's talk at Matcha Jobs. Today we have a special guest close to my heart, and we also have a special host. But before we start, we are, let me introduce, what's going to happen today. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Bear with me. I navigate this new thing that I'm using. Okay, so today we are gonna cover transitioning from a life in the Philippines to Japan. So how did it feel for our special guest and how did he go about that from uprooting himself from the Philippines to a life in Japan? So just a few house norms. Um, Obviously, we are recording the session for later publication within, and maybe publicly, within and outside of Matcha Jobs. And then when you are not speaking, just please press mute. When you do speak up, when you do speak, just speak up so we can clearly hear you. And if you can turn on your video, that would be great so we can have like a normal human conversation where we can see each other for the audience. And any questions, comments, leave it in the chat box, and then we'll make time for it later before we wrap up. And try to enjoy and really picture yourself, going through the process of moving to Japan so you can come up with questions that our guest might be able to answer. And before we hang up, we would like to take a community photo. Hopefully, you all can join for memories and for posterity. um, So we are Matcha Jobs. We are a new job portal, or actually more like a job networking platform, and we aim to connect Filipino IT professionals to companies in Japan that are either tech in nature or companies who are going through digital transformation. Uh-huh. Yeah, and this company is founded by a lean team of Japanese and Filipino individuals who are deeply rooted in just helping, the Japanese community and the Filipino community, fill the gaps in the employment space. So today's host is a cum laude of the University of Santo Tomas's 2022 Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. She majored in data science. She's also the UI and UX and graphics design intern in a San Diego-based startup called Saborit. And she's also the front-end developer at Lucid IT Solutions in the Philippines. Most importantly for me, she's the UI UX designer and the digital marketing associate here at Matcha Jobs. So please welcome Trixie.
Hi, everyone. So, let us welcome Aki, our speaker for today. He is a De La Salle College of Saint Benilde AB Music Production graduate. So he is currently the head of operations in Japan, and he provides consultancy service and freelance work from time to time. So welcome, Aki, to Matcha Jobs Talks.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
It's such an honor to have you here today. So how do you feel?
I feel good. Hot summer. Pero okay naman.
Oo nga. Di ba may 4 seasons sa Japan?
Meron. I think every 3 months it changes. Summer is the worst. Kasi compared to the Philippines, it's pretty humid. And then UV rays are like streaking you down. People get heat strokes, but it's normal.
So tell us a quick background about yourself and your career, like where you started and where you are currently right now, what you're doing.
So I started in the Philippines. First, I was doing some freelance work in college. Used to be a film scorer. So for for film students working on their thesis, I used to work for their music scoring and then Foley as well, so like the sound effects. And then after I graduated, uh, I did also some work for sound engineering. I forgot what's it called. It's a restaurant in nearby Manila Bay. It's called um, it's a Movie Stars Cafe, something like that. And then afterwards, I went full time. I think in MRM Studios as a media producer, and then shifted to Telop, which is you input sounds to the lyrics, for karaoke songs. And then after that, went to Japan, started as a sound engineer also. And then after that sound engineering, job, went to the driving school industry. Mm.
Wow, that was so interesting.
Is it?
Parang dun pa lang sa karaoke, sobrang fun na ng work mo.
Mm.
So, that was a big leap for you from sound engineer to driving school. So, how was the transition?
Mm. So it was sort of a big decision for me to take that leap kasi syempre I studied, music production and then been following the career path of being in the music or media industry. And then my colleague, my mentor, gave me an offering, working for a driving school. And then he was actually my instructor before, when getting my Japanese license. And then I guess, he saw it in me na parang, I could drive. I could drive as well as, gave me a chance to teach people. And then from there, parang it started rough at first because, I don't know how to teach properly yet. All I know is just, all you need to do is just put it on drive and then let's go. Turn left, turn right. And started mentoring me with some, technical stuff, with the book, with the theory. And then from there, it elevated into managing. So he started giving me an opportunity to make decisions for the company until it became, parang ano na eh, started to make bigger decisions. And then that's how I fell into that sort of business. Na instead na you work from, all day, giving me the proper flexibility. And then also it's just a challenge lang to transition to another business as well.
So, you also had to study for a short amount of time before you were able to focus on driving.
Yeah. So during the period where I was about to teach, they also gave me training, basically the full process on how to get a license. So I had to go through the same thing, which I had to study the whole book, which is like this thick, in a span of like a week, and then having that book, having me have to explain to other people, teach them how to, not read the book but understand the book itself. And then I had some other training as well in regards to driving. I went to a seminar where they teach you, how to drive in expressways. as well as the do's and don'ts, and then the safety awareness of driving on that area.
So before you moved here in Japan, was there a specific turning point where you realized that you want to experience living outside of the Philippines?
So the decision went, or my realization was, I actually never had a choice because yeah, so I was struggling with my visa since I'm a Japanese citizen, and then with my language barrier with Japanese, nobody would hire a Japanese who doesn't speak Japanese in the Philippines, di ba? So I had no choice to go back, and then I think I had about 3 months to to sink in. Once that I'm here, uh, parang ano lang, uh, go with the flow lang. I mean, nandito na ako parang, okay, so what's next?
So you mentioned pala your visa. How was the process? I know it's a lot. Because I always hear other Filipinos struggling regarding the visa as well. So could you share a bit about how it went?
So my visa in the Philippines before was dependent visa. So my dad was working in the Philippines, and then up until I think 21 years old, that's where he started being independent. So yung visa ko linked to my dad's is already separate, meaning if I wanted to stay in the Philippines, I have to look for a company who could support my visa, or build a business of my own, which of course I need capital, and I don't have enough capital. Going to Japan, it's pretty simple as a Japanese citizen. Uh, since I have a Japanese passport, punta lang ako doon. But I think my struggle was registering my papers as a Japanese local. So going to the city hall, uh, filling up applications, and then some daily necessities lang in terms of documentation.
How long did you stay ba here in the Philippines before you finally told yourself na I will move to Japan and stay there?
I was in the Philippines since 1997, kindergarten, until college. So until I think 2017.
Nag-vacation ka ba before in Japan?
Never. My vacation was when I was born here, I think. Never, like, I remember a little bit lang, like spending time with my grandparents as a kid. Pero never ako nag-vacation outside of the Philippines. I think I was, because I was too comfortable in the Philippines. Sabi ko, dito na ako mamamatay.
Enjoy mo noon.
Enjoy ko noon.
How was the move for you? Like in terms of leaving everything you're comfortable with, of course, and of course your friends here as well. How was it?
So, I had support naman from my parents, because before I moved here, my parents went in first, and then they stayed in Japan for about a year, prepared everything before I, until my last day of visa expiration. So talagang sinulit ko yung stay ko dito sa Pilipinas. Ayun. And yeah, after going here, my parents already had an apartment. All that's left is finding a job, which took me about um, three months to find one.
So, as a um new Filipino who just moved in Japan,
Mhm.
what are the top three things that surprised you about the Japanese culture or the environment?
Uh, so ignorant as I can be, first time being in Japan, ang una ko sinabi, wow, ang linis. And then like going to Saitama from the airport, I kept asking my dad, seeing a lot of rivers. I keep asking, can you swim there? I see a lot of kids on TV that they can swim in the river. It's like, no, you can't. I mean, if you want, sure, but nobody would. And then designated smoking areas, which compared to the Philippines, you just smoke anywhere. Parang ako naman, parang, oh, wow, this is so organized and clean. And then the food, of course, it's at first shockingly good, I could say.
Is it true that there are large servings in Japan?
No, like like I think if you find some places the serving is quite large, but for example, you see on the picture they have like a big bowl of rice, and then it's a normal rice, but the bowl is big, pero yung lalim niya wala pa sa kalahati. Parang ito na ba yun?
Parang naloko.
Nakakaloko yan.
So, wait, in terms of the culture naman, syempre, ibang-iba yung Japanese culture compared to the Philippines. So, what can you share about it?
Um, so the people in my area, they're very polite. Even if they don't understand what you're saying, they try their best to communicate. That's in Saitama, however. In Tokyo, in the area of where people are busy, syempre naman lagi sila nagmamadali, so they don't have time. They come off as sometimes rude, but you just have to understand that they're working people and they're just trying to you know finish what they wanted to do. Pero yung mga let's say people who works in bike shops, they're very accommodating naman.
That's great because usually I only watch the Japanese culture in like tourist vlogs,
Mm-hmm.
yung mga ganun lang. So, parang medyo shy yung ibang Japanese tourists. Like, di talaga sila makikipag-usap sa'yo unless you talk to them first. Parang ganun. Is it usual?
I myself am shy. I think to generalize Japanese people as being shy is not true. Kasi us being humans, to strangers, syempre hindi natin kakausapin na basta-basta. Pero if you go up to them, I'm sure naman that they will try to reciprocate naman. If you talk to them, they'll talk to you. But let's imagine like if a foreigner, of course, like went up to us and then we didn't know their language. It's not English, it's somehow German or Russian. Hindi mo sila lalapitan, pero lalapitan ka nila to ask questions and then you would answer as best as you can. It's the same here.
Okay.
Pero kapag, syempre, hindi na kayo magkaintindihan, turo mo na lang doon. Maybe he would understand you.
Papasa na lang.
Basta na lang.
Parang dito din pala pag ano. Ipapasa din. Oh, so you worked in a company when you first moved in Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how was the culture in your workplace?
So they already knew when I was applying in that company that I don't speak a lot of Japanese, or I don't know how to speak at all. They're welcoming naman. One of my mentors, like, he was very nice. He's doing his best talaga to speak English. He's like one of my best friends, and he was teaching me talaga, and then he's genuinely nice. But the company itself is just a small company, and working hours are pretty long. So uh, during that time, I was working for about 10 hours for 6 days. It was pretty tiring, pero because I wanted to improve myself on that media industry, like, I was doing my best lang talaga to work as best as I can.
Ace has a question for you. So
Hmm.
he asked, how's the environment during work? What's the basic Japanese language should I prepare?
Uh, so the greetings, it's the first thing that you're supposed to say. Of course, if you enter the office, you greet the people around you. Ohayo gozaimasu. You get in. Sometimes, when I was working there, I would greet them good morning, and then I would immediately clean the office. As a newbie, that's what you should do: clean the office.
Is it like her requirement for newbies?
Hindi naman, pero it's a good gesture na
Okay.
to say na, oh, I'm working hard.
To say na, masipag ako.
Masipag ako. Notice me. Notice me, senpai.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Hello,
it's my
yes.
colleagues. So those guys are my
How are
team.
you? They're eating.
Ningit nila ako.
Um, Speaking of food, how's
Mm-hmm.
the food there in Japan? Did you find it easy or hard to discover great food that you really enjoy when you recently moved?
Um, yeah, so my first few months, I would say 6 months, I've been living off group convenience store foods. Lawson, 7-Eleven, it's all great, especially their desserts. Pero of course, over time, since ulit-ulit yung kinakain mo, parang nakakasawa na. Then you would go to restaurants. With restaurants, at first, syempre, ang sarap yan. Steak, sushi, pizza, it's all good. And then you start to realize, teka, ulit-ulit lang yung mga pagkain na to. On different restaurants, they serve the same food. But I think Japan is known for its quality of those foods talaga, meaning na if it's just a steak, it's a good quality steak. Pero ulit-ulit steak lang yan.
Yeah, I read some articles about that too. They're really serious when it comes to creating delicious food. When they're making food,
Mm,
it has to be like the best food that they can ever make.
it it looks good for sure. You know, some Japanese restaurants, they prepare the food visually enticing, but then there's like some art to it. Like, I saw a commercial where they made like a soup, but it's also an art that represents like the sun, the river, whatnot. But it's just soup.
There's
Dun
like
sila bumabawi.
Parang may culture na i-involve dun sa dish na piniprepare nila.
Yeah. Pero, of course, nothing beats Filipino food. Like I would always go back to the roots. Like I cook at home, usual adobo, kiniling.
What if you miss the street foods? Are
In the
there street
Philippines,
yeah.
um, yeah, I missed. Like recently, I went back to the Philippines. I ordered a lot of barbecue and then kwek fries. Yung mga lahat ng mga street foods talagang sinulit ko sa 2 linggo na yan. Hot dogs, especially, hot dogs was my first meal in the Philippines. That first bite, medyo naiyak ako. I miss this.
Sobrang reminiscing.
Yeah. Kasi the hot dogs here, tender, juicy, they sell it for 1 piece, about 500 yen. 1 stick of a hot dog, so that's like 250 pesos.
That
Yeah. And they have the knockoff brand of tender, juicy. So how you can know is make sure you look at the label. You see tender, juicy, of course. But when you look at the manufacturer, sa atin, di ba, Pure Foods, you would see, bakit Prime Foods?
knock-off na brands.
Knockoff na brand, it's not the same.
So, what do you miss the most? As in, pinaka nami-miss mo sa Pilipinas?
Pinaka nami-miss ko, it's pagkain talaga. Yeah. I would go back for a round of halo-halo or Jollibee, syempre. Jollibee talaga.
Wala bang Jollibee there sa Japan?
Wala. They have McDonald's, but they only have the burgers, without the chicken. They have KFC. What's weird is they don't have gravy and rice. They have biscuits and syrup. I'm like, what is this? Trying hard to be chicken and waffles.
Parang staple yung gravy. Kulang if there's no gravy.
Kulang pag walang gravy for sure.
So, what are some challenges that you experienced when you moved to Japan naman?
My first challenge was going out of the house because you have to face people. Meaning, if you're going to buy some groceries, which I was staying at the house, and then my mom was asking me to buy, some food, so kanin, some meat, something to cook. Since I haven't talked to somebody in Japanese, that's where I had to break that hesitation, or my shyness talaga, no? I have to speak to them or I have to understand them. So my first challenge was go to the grocery and buy some meat products. My challenge there was understanding what they're saying. So they were telling me, okay, so your total is like this and like that. Do you need a plastic for that? I'm like, plastic in Japanese, fukuro plastic? No, fukuro irimasu ka? Doing the hand signs, like, do you need a plastic? Yes, hi. Yes, please. So that's my challenge for the next few weeks. Doing some daily tasks and communicating with other Japanese people.
So you really had to practice your basic Japanese and then hand gestures.
Hand gestures, yes.
It's a must.
Yeah.
Ngayon ko lang na-discover it really helps, no, when you're new in some place.
Mm-mm.
Helps a lot when you use your hands.
Yeah. I mean, also you get to pick up some words if you're in a situation where talagang crucial, no? That's where you get to remember those words talaga.
How did you meet your friends in Japan when you first moved?
I don't have friends. Joke! So most of my friends are from workplace since I see them every day. Like you develop a relationship where you become close. Some naman, I don't have like best friends per se. I do have a high school classmate living in Tokyo, which I visit from time to time. So whenever we get drinks, we would go party in Shibuya. Pero yung mga next door neighbors, tipong kapitbahay mo like in the Philippines, wala masyadong ganon. And you have to probably talk to them, pero I rarely or not so often it happens. But yeah, I do have friends. You won't get lonely here.
Do you have friends too outside of work?
I
Just meet when you have extra time.
mm, I would say no. They don't have the extra time. And then they live so far. So most of my friends that I communicate are still in the Philippines. Sila yung talaga naging ka-close ko.
Did you immediately work when you came to Japan, or you explored a little bit pa?
I think my first week, my parents toured me around the local area. Parang kung wala kang gagawin, pumunta ka dito. Punta ka sa second-hand store. Punta ka sa grocery store. That's what you can do here.
Mm-mm.
And then it gets kind of boring then if you and magastos, no? Kung nasa bahay ka lang tapos pagala-gala, you really need to work. Ako naman hindi ako mapakali sa bahay. Maliit yung bahay namin nun. So papalabas-labas ka, it's better to just find a job na lang.
Is it hard to just walk around? Are the places too far to each other?
My area, most of the recreational places are in distance if when you're using bicycles. If you're an outgoing person, for sure you would find a lot. As for me naman, medyo hermit crab ako sa computer ko. I still make music. I still like being productive at home. Pero pag lalabas ako, out with nature if I need some, vitamin D on your skin, marami naman pwede puntahan. Kahit lakad lang for 30 minutes, it's good.
Were you scared when you're about to go to Japan? Like when you're still here in the Philippines, meron bang halong takot or kaba?
Oh,
Nung
very. Sobrang, kasi una, I didn't want to go. Parang me being a child, na parang I don't want to go to Japan. I want to stay here in the Philippines. Pero, it came to a point where I had to realize na you just have to do it. Parang nandiyan na eh. And then my siblings talked me into it na parang, it's a good opportunity for you to visit other places. Even if you have money, nothing beats experience.
That's true. I also want to experience different countries.
Mm-hmm.
Parang nakaka-excite. Kaso pandemic, gotta stay safe.
Yeah.
So, ever since I worked for Matcha, I heard a lot about black companies. So, can you share a little bit about what a black company is?
So a black company, from my experience, I think my first company was a black company. So it's a small company where they hire people for just normal wage, not too minimum, pero enough to like live. Problem is, um, you would have to do a lot of overtime. Basically, you're going to overwork yourself, and you don't get too much credit. So, wala kang overtime pay. Your boss would call you during your days off, tell you to come here, we need you. And you get bonus, pero maliit lang. No, doesn't parang it doesn't justify how hard you worked. This is all what we can give. Then you have to look at two sides na parang, maybe because it's a small company, or maybe there's some other reasons.
So when you were there, when did you realize na I don't like this anymore. I need to find another job that I'm passionate about or something that I enjoy.
All right. So I had this one day, I was kind of tired na. My job, if you're working in a warehouse, what we basically do in the warehouse is we set up cables, we prepare for the next event since I was a sound engineer. So I was working from 9 to 5. But I wanted to leave at 5. Usually, in some Japanese cultures, the boss or the senpai has to leave first for you to then leave. Ako naman, I wanted to leave early. So I just told them, "Hi, osaki ni otsukare-sama deshita. I'm going to go ahead. Thank you very much." And then one of the bosses asked me, "Oh, why are you going home? It's still early." I'm like, "Well, it's it's going home time. I need to cook dinner." And then he would explain to me, the Japanese work culture being like, in Japan, mabanat sila ng ganon. In Japan, if none of your coworkers leave, normally you don't have to leave as well. I'm like, what? And then they would ask me, oh, well, what can you do for today? And I'm like, nothing. And then there was no argument, pero he gave me like a real talk na lang na ganon. He let me off naman early. While going home, I was reflecting na parang, okay, so ganun pala yung system dito. Is that what I really wanted to do for the next 10 years? Like a lot of my coworkers there has been working for that company for more than 10 years. Like my mentor at that time was working there for 20 years. And then when I asked him before, when we were like drinking heart to heart, no, like, what do you want to do about when you get older? I just want to make cables and sell it. Basically, he just wants to relax at home, make cables lang. So yun, I think that's where I realized na parang if I were to do this for the next 10 years, I don't think I'd be happy, no?
Grabe, you were so brave pala. Kasi if that was me, I would have stayed and worked late with them. Just ko na masasabi na, hindi ko na masasabi na I'm already tired.
Yeah. Although, yung advantage mo then since I couldn't speak at that time, they felt much of a hassle to explain more. So sabi lang, sige, uwi ka na lang.
Yan pala.
Uh, no?
Ace has a question.
Mhm.
Do they accept college undergraduates, the companies in Japan?
College undergrads, some with companies, no?
Mhm.
Some do. I think when being an English teacher, no, I've met a lot of English teachers who are not college graduates. Although they have to submit some certificates, so vocational schools that could help them.
Do most companies require to have like the actual certificate with you, or is it like a
Some,
requirement?
yes. So other than the CV, which is I don't understand why it's important to them. Other than the CV, better to submit a certification as well as proof. Pero even without those certification, your best backup would be your diploma. Kahit high school diploma, I think, could help you along the way.
So I found out pala that you're still producing music. What kind of music do you like to produce?
Ah, so before I used to produce a lot of hip hop and then some electronic music. Nowadays, a lot of my friends, I have musician friends. Whenever I hear them, I get inspired. Parang me wanting to copy their sound. Parang gusto ko lang maka-vibes lang, no?
Parang ano sobrang calming nung sorry nang stalk na ako sa Instagram. Ang calming ng mga originals mo.
Pinapakinggan mo, thank you.
Pakinggan ko siya. Sobrang calming.
So ganun yung mga not my songs per se, pero yun yung mga laro-laro ko lang. I think it turned out to be a hobby instead.
Okay. So
EDM, I guess.
So we're nearing the end of our talk. Do you have any tips for Filipinos aspiring to work in companies in Japan?
At first, even though you're struggling, it's best to still keep going for a few days or months just to learn until you have the proper capability for you to go to another job, and then you have that decision. Your decision is a big part to where your transition is. Nothing happens for a reason. It's based on your decision talaga if you really wanted to go there. So if you want to go to Japan, do it. It's a hard process, but do it. It's fun. It's new. It's challenging.
I heard that when it's challenging, it means you are in the right path.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nothing's fun without a challenge.
Mhm. That's so true. So Jean, do you have anything to add?
That was awesome. That was super awesome. It felt like well, I have teeth, but it felt like I was just, at a coffee shop, listening to your kwentuhan. And it's amazing to hear. Even though I have a strong background of Aki's life, I still learned a lot from him. And so, yeah, I feel grateful that Aki, you gave us a lot of your precious time today to share. And hopefully you can come back later on and share a little bit more, I guess, focused, I don't know, focus information on something else, maybe on music, maybe on, I don't know, anime in Japan. Because it's one of the things that I guess Filipinos are really parang, interested in
Interesting.
also. Oo, kasi some people na tech nag-aaral ng Nihongo just because mahilig sila sa anime, So, mahilig ka nga ba sa anime, Aki?
I like niche animes, pero not
Niche.
those long episode, long-term animes. No, I couldn't commit to that.
Yeah. Okay. So for those who joined us, we've had people come and go. We are grateful for you for being here, and for those who are watching the recording later on after today, thank you for watching. And we have a lot more coming down in the coming weeks. We have other amazing people like Aki who are sharing their own life experiences and journeys. Either nasa Philippines sila ngayon, galing silang sa Japan, or people who recently moved to Japan. Some of them are targeted towards IT work rin. So, and that's what we're trying to do in Matcha Jobs. We are trying to, you know, create a platform where people can network and find out how they can get into the tech technology scene in Japan. So, and it's such a huge world. There's a lot of opportunities here. So yeah, thank you, and thank you, Trixie, also for this is her debut hosting, and I think she did an
You
amazing
know,
You know,
tonight show na yan.
Tonight show. Yes. Yes. Thank you both of you, Trixie and Aki, and Ace Batoy the Great. That's such a cool name. Oh, the your colleagues in EDS. Thank you for being here. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
amazing. It's so cool na pinakita niyo mukha niyo.
Thank you for the support. So, Batoy the Great then is my colleague also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I
We're
love
all
it.
Filipinos actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Astig. So yeah, we wanna. Feel free to sign up. We have a newsletter. We are trying to curate content. I don't know where Batoy is, but we're trying to curate content that's hard to find in the internet. Kasi di ba, Aki, when I moved here, I learned so much na parang, wala sa internet to, hindi mo malalaman to mga to. So, yun yung gusto namin i-share rin sa Matcha para lalo ma-entice ang mga Pilipino na mag-try dito. So, yeah, sign up sa matcha-jobs.com. We have a lot more coming up. And we want to take a photo. So, EDS folks and Batoy and Ace, I hope you can turn on your camera. We'd love to see your faces